let you know, and this is everything you need to know about Shoot My Shot. How was Shoot My Shot made? Wow, the song. How did the song come to life? So, Shoot My Shot was born out of a podcast, actually. Um, so, we shot an episode called Memorabilia. If you haven't taken a look at the Produce Section podcast with myself, TZ, and Andrell, first of all, you're missing out. Second of all, that episode is hilarious. And third of all, that episode talked about how I really had an issue with dating because I was always open. I never had a certain type that I had to have, or as long as you were a good person, I was open. My philosophy to dating is like Baskin Robbins. It's like 32 flavors, and you don't know which one you like until you pick one, right? Until you start trying some different things. And so I would just always go on dates, and I would always be available, and I would always just talk to different people and dudes. And I'm so grateful that I did that, especially in my earlier years, because I feel like it enriched me culturally, and it also taught me how to deal with a lot of different people. But ultimately, they were making fun of me the whole episode because I was like, yeah, I have memorabilia. Like I have different people that I dated on, to say the least. Shout out to my exes. For real, shout out to y'all. Y'all helped me who I am, and I'm grateful for you. But so it was kind of born from that podcast about talking about, like, you know, as a female, I was never scared to shoot my shot if I thought a boy was cute, or if I wanted to say was good, or if I wanted to dance with you when we was at the club. Like I would initiate that. And I know a lot of girls don't do that. We're taught not to do that traditionally because it makes you look fast, or, you know, something else, and you're perceived a certain way about your sexuality. And I just don't think that's the case. I think as women, we should have the ability to feel empowered to go and seek what we want. Because half the time men are scared anyways, and they don't even know how to approach you half the time. So if you take that part of the equation out for them, like, it's honestly a more successful transaction, and it usually tilts in your favor. I recorded Shoot My Shot 3 times. 2 times in a professional studio, and the version that you hear is actually recorded at my house. I was working with an engineer, and I love this engineer. I'm grateful for this engineer, but I wanted him to send the stems to me so I could send it to a different person to mix, because I wanted a different set of hands on this particular song. And it was busy, it was last notice, like, I know it was a lot going on, so it wasn't anyone's fault per se, but I knew I was like, you know, I'm not going to meet my deadline, and I'm not going to have this song mixed the way I wanted to if I don't just get in the booth and re-sing it again. So I took my $50 condenser mic. I made sure I got up at the crack of dawn at like 6 a.m. I cut off all the AC in my house on a hot summer day in Oklahoma. Y'all know it gets to like 105 on average in the summertime, but I made sure I got up early enough to beat the heat. I took off whatever extra hours I needed to take off to make sure I could record it, but I nailed it in hour and a half, maybe 2. Then I got ready and I went to work, and I made sure I sent the files over to the guy to be mixed that night. And he sent it back, and it was history. He sent it back, and I was nervous because typically with me, you're gonna do a couple revisions. I'm very picky, and so there's certain things I want to hear in the mix, and I only had literally one critique for him, and that record was a wrap. And I feel like he made magic out of like nothing. And I'm not to say nothing, because I'd been singing that song for so long that it just becomes natural. It became so natural, and I knew exactly where everything needed to sit in that song. And so that's why I like taking my time when I work on a piece of music, because I feel like if I just sing it the way, you know, I wrote it initially, or the way someone wrote it for me in the beginning, I don't capture the essence of it. I don't get the fullness of it. That's why I like to sit on it. So every song I wrote with Tony, we would have a session. We would write and brainstorm. We would do like a phone recording, and then I would go home and I would record the entire song the way I heard it in my head. And then sometimes I wouldn't like it, and so when it was time to really record it, I would go to Boombox International, or I would go to Aries Recording Studio, and I would lay it down. But I just know that the longer I live with a piece of music, the more of the pocket that I find in it, and the more that I embody the work. And so that's why it takes me such a long time to create, and that's why I don't think I'll ever be an artist that drops projects like every month or, you know, like 3 projects in a year. I'm just never gonna be that person. I'm okay with that, and if that doesn't make, so just know that it's gonna be a minute for me to get back in the studio and create some more, because I really just like to live with the music. I like to let it speak to me. I like to feel like I'm having a conversation with it, and it's an organic conversation. I don't like to ever feel rushed when I'm talking on music, or when I'm singing. When I'm singing a song, I never want to feel like it's half done.
Garden is a little work. Well, you got to keep it from being real dry, because when you first put them down, you got to keep them kind of moist. I'd say you don't have to soak them every day, but make sure they got